Ah, the smell of fresh gasoline in the afternoon.
There's nothing like it.
Nothing like it. I'm Olivia.
And I'm Amy.
And this
And this
is
is
Girls
Girls
Gone
Gone Spooky.
Spooky. And Amy is huffing chainsaw gas.
Yes, it's a
Of
long
all
story.
things.
Yeah, but the fumes might get to me. We'll
Yeah.
see.
It's if the fumes don't get you, the audio will get you first.
Yes, I'm having a struggle today.
You know what? It's all good. One of those days.
Yes.
Well, we're back with more Poltergeist content.
Yay.
And we're finishing up the San Pedro Poltergeist today. For sure, 2 episodes only, and episode 3 will be probably like a hodgepodge of some others. We haven't
Yeah.
decided yet.
Yep.
I'm going to do a quick plug at the beginning versus the end. We are starting to plan for season 5. I'm sorry.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, can we have a moment for that? Like,
Yeah.
season 5? And it's
That's
going to
pretty
be
cool.
like episode 1. We're going to hit episode 150 during season 5, which is just like bonkers to me.
Wow. Yeah. I'm having fun.
Me too. It's been great.
Yeah.
We're going to keep it going. We would love for you to share your stories and theme ideas. Like if you have requests for a theme, even if it's a theme we've done before, we have not exhausted all of the themes that we've covered.
Yes.
So if you have one that you're like, oh, you did this once before, so maybe I won't recommend it, do it anyway.
Yeah.
And send us your stories. You can send them, you can DM us anything. Well, not anything. Don't DM us dick pics, you little freaks.
Yes.
But you can DM us your stories or theme requests. We're at Girls Gone Spooky everywhere on social. Email us at girlsgonespooky@gmail.com, or you can use the contact form on our website, girlsgonespooky.com. We got like really lucky, I feel, with
Yeah, we
handles
did.
and domains and stuff.
Yep. Nailed it.
So yeah, we're very jazzed for another season and also for like a little spooky hiatus. We're gonna
Yeah.
do a little spooky hiatus. Have the
Summertime.
some summer, spooky summerween and all of that, but also enjoy your summer, and then we're gonna come back like a ton of bricks for
Yeah.
spooky season.
I'd say summer is the least spooky season,
I
probably.
agree.
So
I agree. Because
it
spring
works
is like
out.
witchy, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so is winter.
Yeah,
And
100%.
then
Winter's
fall,
just like
obviously.
creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
And if only you could see out my window right now. It's like gray sky, dead ass trees, like blowing violently in the wind.
Gorgeous.
Welcome to Toronto, everyone.
Yeah.
I'm moving.
Spring is all over the place.
Truly.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Our tree is finally blooming, but everything around it is still dead.
Just so dead. Yeah. It's an interesting mix.
Yep.
Should we get right into it? I feel like we have a lot to like. I want to like finish the stories so that we have time to like unpack on the other end, because I feel like I have a lot of thoughts.
Yes. Sounds good.
Okay, let's jump right in. So where we left off in the last episode, if you haven't listened in a while, or you haven't listened at all to the first one, if you haven't listened to the first one, go back, because actually it's very important.
Yes.
And we're referencing things that happened in part 1, so episode 143, if you haven't listened already. So at the end of that episode, Jackie, who is the person living in this like extremely haunted house, she leaves. She moves away, and she thinks that, okay, maybe things are better now. I'm gonna go through a little bit of like, there's gonna be a little bit of back and forth on the timeline. I'm gonna sort of like, okay, Banks, please. Is that so loud?
No, I only heard one little thing.
Okay, good. He's like stomping in his litter box. Like, God.
Love
so, and if you see him pooping back there, no, you didn't.
No shame. in his game.
No shame in his game, in his pooty game. Okay, so I'm gonna go a little bit back and forth on the timeline just because I found another article that's okay. I feel like this is kind of unusual to have just on the internet, not in some sort of like research database. It's an LA Times article from 1993.
Yes.
Did you come across this one?
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so it's by Gary Adams, and it is called Tangle Tales from the Crypt. For 3 years, Jackie Hernandez says she was followed by a pair of puzzling and persistent ghosts. And I loved the way he, some of the details he pulled, that there's so much information in the first section also that there wasn't enough room for details. So I'm going to go back, add a little bit of colors to some things, and then we'll move on. So... Okay, so during the next 3 years, Hernandez, who in 1993 was 30 years old, so however old that makes her now. Actually, how old does that make her now?
61?
Yeah.
Right? Because
yeah, that's right. Okay, thank you. Quick maths. Okay, allegedly, so she was 30 at the time. She had become a flesh and blood magnet for at least 2 ghosts, one benign and the other vengeful. And I feel like we didn't really talk about the benign one at all.
No.
Yeah. No. So it's interesting because that one just gets played down so much in all of the documentaries and stuff. We're going to get a little bit into that in the next section too. So both spirits seem to thrive in her presence, plugging into her like viruses burrowing into a fresh and particularly vulnerable victim. Okay, Gary, damn.
Yeah, artsy.
Yeah. The benign one, she says, led her to his grave, which was 13 blocks from the bungalow where he had lived before his death in 1913. Most unusual and disturbing, she says, was that the haunting continued after she had moved from her star-crossed San Pedro cottage. The ghosts, it seemed, followed her, wreaking havoc wherever she went, including a remote trailer in northern Kern County. So this is where she moved right after the San Pedro bungalow. So we're talking to Barry Taff at this point, who was the lead paranormal investigator. And the article says he says he knows of only 1 or 2 other cases in which ghosts supposedly have followed someone. And, quote, in the whole history of the paranormal, there have been a handful of cases, maybe 5, where people have been harmed or injured. This is the first case I've ever been on where the phenomenon went after researchers, end quote. So that's, of course, referring to Jeff up in the attic who gets strangled by the clothesline that comes out of nowhere. And I thought that was so interesting because I feel like we talk about this a lot, that it's the threat of harm usually in these things. The ghosts don't usually harm someone, or if they do, there's really no evidence to prove it, because I think it's very possible that demons have killed living people, but that it just looks like some other natural death. Right. So that's definitely something for us to discuss after. But I digress. So real nightmares, dream nightmares, figure into the tale as well. So Hernandez vividly recalls dreaming about a younger man being clubbed with a lead pipe and drowned by his assailant in San Pedro Harbor. And it looked to be in the dream the 1930s. In this dream, she became the dead man, experiencing his horror of being held underwater, his consciousness ebbing as he fought for his life. So they have a Ouija board session, another one. So they did one in the actual house, and then she's like, let's do another one.
Yeah.
Dumb. But after the Ouija board session, and I think you're going to get into that in more detail, they actually thought the spirit that they connected to may have been this dead man from her dream, who she was him in the dream. Yeah. But more on that. So a lot of this stuff though sounds kind of familiar, especially to late night crime TV addicts. So other aspects of the haunting though really transcend this teleplay genre. So Hernandez and company insist that the ghosts followed her around the state and attacked her friends and acquaintances, including an attempted hanging, of course, in the house itself. Others claim to have witnessed parts of the haunting, including a team of investigators trying to document the phenomena, as well as the babysitter. And all of that's from part 1.
Yeah.
So on Jeff Wheatcraft, who is like hanging from the ceiling at one point, the promotional tape for the documentary that at the time was being assembled on the case. So I think at the time of this article, there was no like footage about this, like YouTube wasn't around. Yeah. So the promotional tape, which is like teasing a documentary that was at the time being put together on the case, contained scenes of objects being moved by invisible forces, balls and streaks of light that Barry Taff believes are evidence for lack of a better word, ghosts. So one of the theories, and this is Barry speaking again, quote, one of the theories is that the environment can somehow store information, and under the proper circumstances, the information is reconstructed so that you can feel it, see it, or hear it, he says. So Jackie Hernandez may have been pushing the button on the VCR, is the metaphor he uses, end quote. So it's, again, another thing we've talked about, like residual energy, but I think this was particularly interesting to me because I feel like it's not saying it's an either or, it's a both and. That like there was this strong energy that is a ghost and that she was tapping into that somehow. That maybe not everyone would be able to, but that it's not just, oh, it's residual energy and therefore it's not a ghost. That like, no, that is what a ghost is, sort of, by this definition, which I think is like interesting and makes it scarier to me, because residual energy, you can say like, oh, it's just like the echoes of the past, but this is like, no, it's the echoes here of the past, but they're here in the present. Yes. And they'll fuck you up. Yeah. So
in this case, that for sure. Yep.
Yeah. So in the fall, so we remember the husband who they separated. He kind of left her with the kids, like sort of high and dry until there was like an emergency situation. But in the fall of 1989, they attempted to patch things up. So they moved to Weldon in Kern County and tried to start fresh. There, Jackie starts to relax. She says, within a couple of weeks, I felt really comfortable being there in Weldon. I thought I had left the ghost back in the house. I thought everything was going to be okay. Within months, the marriage then flounders, and her husband left again, and she found herself living in a remote area with very few neighbors, running up exorbitant phone bills, talking to friends in LA. And this is when, why did I say LA like that? LA.
LA.
I said that like organically as well. That's upsetting.
She's an influencer.
LA. She's an influencer today. This is when Hernandez says the phenomena returns, which like is really, I think for a lot of the skeptics, this is where they're like, oh, of course, like there's no one around to witness it. Like, of course it comes back. And I think this makes sense because there's sort of dark energy in the house. The husband is left. She's there all alone. She's probably lonely and kind of sad and disappointed that the marriage wasn't rekindled, like very vulnerable. So to me, it makes a lot of sense. And there's a lot we can talk about after your section's over too, about like how skeptics go after this like very reputable case, and that it's all attacking her, which is really just like quite unfounded. So anyway, so this is like when things really start picking up again. So I think same things are happening. Like things are moving around the house and she's like, oh, this again. When it really picks up. So she and two neighbors are moving a big TV into a storage shed. And the three of them, not just Jackie, sees the TV turn on. It's unplugged. The TV lights up and she sees the image of an old man on the screen, and it's the same old man from the old house. So
scary.
Yeah. Later that night, she says she was kept awake by, quote, someone pounding on the inside of the shed, seemingly wanting to get out.
Love it.
Yeah. So scary.
Yes.
So she calls the Ghostbusters again, and they arrive late one night and enter what Hernandez describes as a maelstrom. For starters, the researchers couldn't get their video cameras to work as something kept switching off the equipment. Partly in desperation, she suggested that the investigators try the Ouija board again. And you'd think that we would have learned the first time.
Not so much.
As they began, she recalls, their table began to shake, and the session ended when the photographer, Wheatcraft, Jeff, poor Jeff,
Poor
was
guy.
thrown against the trailer wall by an invisible force. Hernandez, though, believes that doing the Ouija board, the seance, was not, done in vain, because she feels the board actually really explained her haunting, which is where I pass it to you.
Well, crazy.
So crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so some details about the seance. I guess, is the seance like the Ouija board session?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that makes sense. So some details about what happened. They asked some simple questions. It was Jackie's neighbors, and also Barry and Jeff were there to observe. And they asked things like, "Are you a ghost?" And the planchette would move to yes on the board. And when the team would push further about this ghost and who they were, what their life was like, it told them that he had been murdered in the harbors of San Pedro. At one point, Barry asked how many ghosts are there in here, as in this house. And the answer was, "Phantoms fill the skies around you."
So scary,
That's
dude.
so scary.
And poetic.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Like, so much flair.
So much flair. Lots of flair.
Yeah. So they also asked why this spirit had been targeting Jeff, the photographer, and it replied that it's because he resembled his killer, which is so scary.
I know.
And unfortunate.
And out of your control. Like,
right.
he can't control what his face looks like.
I know. Yeah. And he wasn't the murderer, hopefully.
Right.
But, well, yeah, he couldn't have been because it was so long ago. But
yeah.
Scary.
Or he's a vampire.
Yeah. Could
possible.
be. That's always possible.
Yeah.
Then when they asked why this ghost was targeting Jackie, or these ghosts, I should say, was targeting Jackie, the reply was just the word energy. So they asked to expand what kind of energy, and it responded, dead.
That gives me chills. Like, what does that mean?
I was trying to think about that. I kind of wonder if it has something to do with her divorce and all of that, like what you were talking about.
Yeah,
her
like
energy
the sadness.
was probably just low.
Yeah.
All the time. Maybe she was like giving dead vibes.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like that actually is less scary than what I was thinking, which is like that she had some past life, I don't know, wrongdoing that she was being punished for. So I don't know. That's so dramatic. But like, or I don't know, like even thinking a little more like spiritual about it, like if this is her last, like what impacts, so say we have multiple lives, like we come back, which I know we both believe in, like what if this is your last round, and on that round you kind of like give off a funky vibe, or it's your first, and so you're like kind of vulnerable, like I don't know, it made me think of like something like that beyond like just the bad energy of like a sad phase of life.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
That makes maybe more sense. But yeah, who knows what to make of this whole thing is such a mystery.
Such a mystery.
But yeah. Okay, dead. That's crazy. Dead. And then this is even more poetic. I was kind of giggling when I read this. That at the end of the session, when they were signing off, this spirit said, "I must go now. The sun cometh." It's just so funny. Like, is this ghost from what,
Right, like
1750?
Victorian, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Who
but
knows?
you never know. But shortly after that sign off, Jeff again was shoved by unseen hands
This
that threw
poor
him back
guy.
against the wall. I don't know why he keeps coming back at a
I know.
certain point.
Right, like let
He's,
it be. Like let
yeah,
someone else go.
clearly you're not
Except
wanted here.
Barry is probably like, dude, you gotta come. Because he's
Hmm.
clearly like a target.
Yeah, because they know that he's gonna stir
Yeah,
some stuff up.
totally.
Yep. So he's thrown against the wall. Although they were trying to film this whole session, as we know, a lot of technological malfunctionings were happening. So they didn't get this on video.
God damn it, Barry.
Yeah, come on. But Jeff recovered physically, thankfully, from all of this, but he feels deeply scarred by everything that happened. So,
I mean, how do you like even as a paranormal investigator? Because Barry, all these guys, especially Barry, have been interviewed
a
to
lot.
the end of time.
Yes.
And how, like, all of them say how skeptical they are. Because you have to be. Because Barry even says, like, at one point, like, anything at this time in the 90s can be faked. So you have to be, like, so discerning about what you're going to believe on video or photo. And now, I mean, he couldn't even have predicted how
Yeah.
even more true that would be,
Mhm.
however, like 30 years later. But you can never go back to your life before. Like, I mean, you go
No.
back to your life before, but you're never the same. Like,
Yeah.
if you've been literally assaulted twice by an invisible force, like
Yeah.
you're
It's over.
baked. You're
Yes.
done.
Yeah.
You're done.
That's so true. You can't come back from that.
No.
And I think it gets to this a little bit later, but how does that affect your view of what happens after we die when
Well,
something
that
like that happens to you?
totally. That's exactly what I
That's,
was thinking.
yeah.
I don't
So
know, this
scary.
is a bit of a tangent, but have you read anything about this Blue Origin space whatever trip? It's not even like a
Oh,
mission. There are
I
no
know.
astronauts.
No, only like the
Jeff
funny stuff
Bezos
that's like,
tripping on his
why?
face and
Yeah.
Katy Perry.
Katy
Yeah, okay.
Perry. Mhm.
Did you see what William Shatner said?
No, I
I
didn't.
don't I don't think he was on Blue Origin. I think he did a different one, but or maybe it was this one, but he's gone to space as well. And
Yeah.
it's this trip has like brought up his statement about it after, and it is so dark. Like he was like, I was expecting this, like he's like, I'm getting on in my years, and I thought that this was going to be like, oh, like a moment of like such deep connection to the wonders of our universe. It like gives me chills thinking about it.
Yeah.
And he was like, that was not my experience. He was like, the looking down at Earth only intensified my exclusive connection to our planet, and seeing it up against the void that is space, the vast nothingness that is space, was so deeply upsetting because we are destroying our planet. Like he was
Wow.
like, this one thing that sustains our life and everything that makes Earth beautiful, we're killing it. And like that's
Yeah.
on us. And this is what we have to look forward to. I was like,
Wow.
William
That just
Shatner.
that gave me chills.
Yeah, it
Cause
made my stomach hurt.
yeah, how right is that?
I
That is
know.
so
I know.
we're killing ourselves.
I know.
And trips like this for 11 minutes up to space is so stupid. Like
Yes.
what? What was the point of this?
Yep. Yep.
But yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was sort of part of his statement as well, of like, not that he didn't say like explicitly like I regret going, but he, I think, was like, I see like this, like, I kind of got what I deserved. Like I did this thing, and yeah,
He's
okay.
self-aware. Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Mm.
well, I should have been prepared for this eventuality, and I was not. But it basically said, like, I'll never be the same after this, which I think that's probably true if you visit space, period. But and then there's all the commentary about like how this was supposed to like uplift women, and it's like, well, how about you invest in women astronauts and put them up in space and have this be like a build up to a real mission. Anyway, I just had to add that because it's like, in some ways it's so similar, right? It's like seeing and like your mind grasping something due to an experience that you never could grasp if you don't experience that thing. Like you and I can never fully understand what that's like what epiphany comes from that.
Yep. Wow. Crazy. Can you hear that real loud? Okay.
It's not terrible. Guys, Dave has a chainsaw. Everyone fear for Amy and her nostrils.
Let's fear for Dave now, because if you can hear,
fair enough.
There it is. Super loud chainsaw going off in the background.
Oh gosh.
For context, he's cutting a stump that's in our yard. It sounds like he might as well be in the kitchen, but he's outside.
Oh well. It's okay. It's not that bad when you're talking. No, okay. It'll be fine. Okay. Everyone just ignore it, okay? If she has to ignore it, you have to ignore it.
Maybe by season 5, I'll have a better
stump. I was gonna say a stump-free yard. Yeah,
a stump-free yard, and also
maybe a new mic. Maybe a new mic. Yeah. I'm with you.
And also, for some reason, my office that has a door I can't record in there. So, like, what's wrong here? So I have to be in our public area.
Oh, God. Hilarious.
Anyway, I will talk loudly over that sound. Sorry.
Oh, this is good. This is real good.
It's also just so funny because Dave walked in here like 10 minutes ago and he's already out there cutting the stump. Like he just got home from work and that's his first thing.
I saw your eyes glance, so I figured he was walking by. He's like right to work.
Yes. He's been agonizing over this stump, everyone.
Oh my God.
So, yep.
Agonizing, everyone.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's continue.
Okay.
So, Jeff is scarred. So, another part of just another little few details about things that were said during the session. One question they asked was, how long have you been trapped in the spirit world? The answer was 60 years. They asked, did you die in the San Pedro house? They said no. Where did you die? San Pedro Bay. They asked, did you drown? And the response was no, I was held underwater. And then the next question was, did you live in the San Pedro house? And the answer was that my murderer lived there. So
that's an interesting detail. Like, I didn't live there, but the person who killed me did.
Yes.
And that would explain attacking Jeff in that house as well.
Yeah. That's true. Because if Jeff plus the house.
Mm-hmm. The combo is a little much. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jackie also said that the ghost revealed that he had been born in 1912 and died in 1930. And with that information, she and her friends later discovered in old newspapers the death of a seaman. Seaman.
A seaman.
I'm gonna say
you gotta say seaman.
Okay, a seaman, Herman Hendrickson, whose body was found floating under a pier on March 25th, 1930. So Hendrickson was 10 years older than the age indicated on Jackie's transcript, and he had a jagged wound on the top of his head, and the coroner ruled that he had drowned. Authorities determined that the seaman had not been murdered, but had sustained the wound when he fell off the dock. So, despite these discrepancies, Jackie is pretty certain that Hendrickson is the ghost that latched onto her. The second ghost, her knowledge of this ghost largely came from talking to old-time San Pedro residents. Jackie and her friends say that they learned that the bungalow that she was living in at the time was built by a man named John Damon. And they assume that he is that old man who appeared to Jackie on her trips to the bathroom that we talked about in the first episode. So eventually, Jackie moves back to LA. The ghosts follow her. They create havoc. This sound is gonna kill me. I'm like trying to focus.
I know, so distracting. Well, and it's like, it's loud through the audio, but it's not that loud. Like,
Okay.
it's just it's like, I mean, it's loud. Like, it's a background noise.
Yeah.
But for you, it must be so...
It's very distracting, but, we'll push through.
Yeah.
So, okay. Jackie says that this John Damon ghost eventually made a graceful exit. Oh, should I ask him to stop? He also hasn't even done his taxes yet, and they're due today. So maybe I should be like, come do your goddamn taxes. Before
yeah, go
you
tell
do
him,
this
go
stuff.
tell him, go tell him.
Okay,
I'll
one
be
second.
here.
Okay, be right back.
Hello. He's doing
It's
his
not
taxes
working.
now?
No. He, the chainsaw's too dull to cut through the stump. So I went out there and it's just smoking now. Because it's just like rubbing against.
I'm leaving this in, by the way.
This whole thing.
All that, no, not the break, but this explanation that he's been making all this noise and it's just like grinding and not doing anything.
Yep. Yeah, that's
How do you sharpen a chainsaw? Replace the chain, I guess.
Well, I know that he's not listening to me.
Maybe he's trying the spare chainsaw. Don't you have two?
Yes, actually, that's right. He is trying the second one.
Yeah.
God. But, I think, they can sharpen the chain somehow.
I don't even really understand how a chainsaw works.
I don't really either. I just know that
I don't even think I've like looked at one up close.
Come on over. We got
the one time I'm gonna be like, I'm good. Is when Dave is just wielding multiple chainsaws in the backyard. Pass.
Yeah. And maybe starting a fire now?
Yeah.
We'll see.
Perhaps.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Oh, Davey.
And I said, can you stop for like 15 minutes? And he was like, yeah. And now he's just still going. Oh my God. Okay.
Here he comes.
I swear he's very capable at
Here comes Paul
everything.
Bunyan.
It's just this stump that's besting him. It's the first time.
He's being bested by a stump. Yeah. How embarrassing. How embarrassing.
We'll get through it somehow.
Yeah, he'll survive.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, we left off with things tapering off. John Damon, ghost, made a pretty graceful exit, thankfully. So, while visiting in San Pedro, she saw a ball of light, bright enough to be visible in daylight, outside the house where she was staying. She followed this light to a nearby graveyard, where it hovered over a stone, marking the grave as that of John Damon. Mm-hmm. So she said this ball of light went around and around the grave and eventually just disappeared. And she figures that that was Damon saying goodbye.
So he's the old man, though, right?
I think so, which is surprising to me that he made such a graceful...
And was the benign one, allegedly.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Because he seemed... Like, the old man seemed pretty menacing.
Yeah, he had a mean face. But maybe he wasn't. Like, maybe he was just... Because there was also a lot where she would see him looking at her son and stuff and, like, scowling. But maybe he was just, like, kind of a curmudgeon. But he was... Yeah. He just scared her because he shouldn't have been there at all. And his face would, like, pop up. But...
Yeah. And
Who
it's like, why are
knows?
you in the house that I built?
Yeah,
Kind of
exactly. Yeah.
situation. Yeah. Who knows? So
Yeah.
the other ghost, though, Hendrickson, is also gone, mostly, more or less, in the last year or so, which I believe would
Yeah.
be 1992 or
Hmm.
whenever this article was from. Jackie says she's only experienced some infrequent visitations. And Jackie since has moved several other times, and with each, the activity lessened to the point where it completely stopped. And Jackie now lives in LA and has put the terrifying ordeal behind her. I don't know where she lives now. This
Yeah.
was in 1992,
Yeah.
but
Maybe still LA.
yeah, who knows? But this, I guess they give the address of this house. I don't know if we want to share it, but it said that many tenants have come and gone
Yeah.
from this San Pedro house. Some people have reported hearing strange bumps and sounds coming from that attic, which, as we know, there was a lot of activity up
I
there.
would never go up there.
No.
I want to see if I can
not
find it
once.
on Zillow.
Yeah, perfect.
It almost seems like it doesn't like exist on Zillow. It exists on the map.
Okay, I wonder street
They
view.
just avoid exiting it or exiting it. They avoid like featuring it maybe. Interesting.
But I bet you can see, it's cute.
Oh, it's cute.
Oh wait, that's Los Angeles. Oh no, that's right. Okay. It is cute. It just looks like a normal house.
Little house. It's adorable.
But there's the attic. You can see.
Ew.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's weird. Okay. Very creepy.
Yeah.
Look it up, guys.
Yeah. Although
It's public record. I know it's public record though. Like if you search the LA Times article, you can find it. We'll say it's on West 11th in San Pedro.
Perfect. So then just to close the loop on some people from this story, Jackie's kids are fine, she says. The newborn daughter that she had when all of this started was nearly 4 in 1993. So she's too young to really remember any of these disturbances. Her son, Jamie, did have some stuff happen to him. He was also thrown against the wall at one point, which would be nightmarish to see your child.
Yeah, traumatizing.
Go through that. And he has some trouble sleeping on his own, but otherwise is all right. And hopefully doesn't have trouble sleeping alone now.
Yeah.
But did at the time.
He's like 40.
Yeah. Although this could be a lifelong ordeal.
Fair enough.
But also the babysitter who in part 1 was there for the like bloody ooze that started coming out of the walls. She in this article said that she's still very frightened by the haunting. She doesn't like talking about it. She thinks that this whole ordeal has permanently changed both her and Jackie. She says that this has caused her to become more religious, while Jackie now overreacts to everything and seems sunk into total neurosis, which is not the nicest thing to say about your friend. But they've also drifted apart, so maybe there's something else happening. And she says that the haunting is the only thing that they have in common anymore. So Jackie's life went on. Yeah. She was working as an office manager for an accounting firm, but she started to see things differently. So a quote she gave is, "I'm more scared of dying than I was before." This is because she believes the ghosts who found her were living in hell. But she also added that in hindsight, I think I was fortunate to see and experience firsthand something that most people never see.
That's kind of a shocking revelation, given it was not like a nice situation.
No, not at all.
But I also do think like there's like a lot of validity in that like she got a sneak peek into one part perhaps of the afterlife, and like it wasn't a nice part, but it at least, you know, like I've said 1 billion times, like if you had confirmation demons are real, that means angels should be too. So isn't that like
Yes.
God is real,
Yeah.
in some way, shape, or form? I mean, it's sort of that same sentiment, right? Of like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, there is an afterlife, and I'm sure
Yeah.
this isn't the only way it can go. So
Right. Yep.
kind of interesting.
Yeah, because I guess by that same logic, if she thought that they were in hell, does that mean that heaven also exists?
Right. Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that hopefully you can end up there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But do you want to read this additional note?
Sure. Yeah, I just added something because I thought that this like spoke a little bit to like all the documentation. So,
Yeah.
this, I think we shared this a few times, but the San Pedro haunting is one of the most documented cases of a haunted house ever, like to this day.
Yeah.
And this is thanks to the photographic and film evidence captured by Jackie Hernandez and Barry Taff's team, including poor Jeff.
Yeah.
In 1997, much of the footage was edited into the documentary that's called An Unknown Encounter, a true account of the San Pedro haunting. This event included the footage of Jeff Wheatcraft's near-death experience, which has become famous throughout the paranormal community. The release of the documentary spurred Jackie Hernandez and Barry Taff to be featured on a number of talk shows and such over the decades. And surprisingly, over all this time of sharing the story both together and separately, the events they shared have remained consistent, which is a huge, like, check in terms of
Yeah.
potentially verifying the story. Aside from a few very insignificant details, both of them have told the same exact stories. And considering this is interesting, and I don't think any documentary covers this, considering the two of them do not get along on a personal level, it speaks
Oh.
volumes that the two parties continue to corroborate what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like this final line to me is like very powerful. On top of the physical evidence of the paranormal events at the San Pedro home, there were multiple witnesses who would have no reason to lie. Like they didn't have anything to gain. Like nobody
Mm-hmm.
knows who this babysitter is. Like I don't even remember her name now. Like it's we
Right.
just read it. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
I get it for someone like Jackie maybe to lie, but with so many other witnesses and the
Yeah.
story is consistent and corroborated by multiple people, multiple different events. Like, I don't know, it just seems interesting. And I think when you look at the skeptics' arguments, they're not really able to pick apart the haunting, the poltergeist itself, because so much of it is on footage and then corroborated by people who were actually there as eyewitnesses. What they go after is Jackie, who's, you know, based on her
Yeah.
last name, presumably a Hispanic woman, a single mom with two kids, and they attack her. They're like, she's some like trashy woman who's just trying to get famous or get rich quick. It's like,
Yeah.
okay,
There's
there's
ways she
no
could
reason
do
to
that.
believe that. Yeah,
Yeah.
how is she supposed to do that?
Yeah.
And then the other one was like, well, if you're, and we joke about this of like, move out. Like, you have two kids,
Yeah.
the scary stuff is happening. She was a newly single mom. She didn't
Yeah.
have the financial situation to be able to just up and move.
Right.
Um, so I just think, yeah, it's just interesting that like, and of course, everything comes back to like modern day witch trials, right? It's like women are always the ones who are in the wrong somehow.
Yes.
Like no one is like, well, where was her husband? You know, it's
Right.
like, and the father of those two kids, like
Yeah.
he was long gone, like came back once to like watch them
Right.
while they were investigating. Like it's just,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a really interesting one. And I feel like is now it's like had a bit of a revival recently.
Mhm.
Um, which is so interesting, but I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, just thinking about the husband, like when he
Hmm.
did come for that little while, he
Yeah.
experienced something,
Yeah, he did.
even though it was only a week. So it's just, yeah, why blame Jackie? I
I
really
know.
don't. Although I guess that's also what the priests did in a way.
Oh my God,
They were
yeah.
like, you're the problem, is what
Yeah.
they said, and then tried to take her kids away.
Yeah.
So it's not Jackie, I don't
No,
think.
I
Although
don't think so
she
either.
could be like what they're drawn to,
Yeah,
but that's not her
that's
fault.
not her fault. No,
Yeah.
she's just like a magnet, sort of. But that's, yeah, involuntary.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a fascinating one and like
Mm-hmm.
very scary to recount one of, like Barry said, the very few cases of a spirit physically harming people and like
Yeah.
multiple people, the kid and then Jeff
Yeah.
twice.
Mm-hmm.
And Jackie too, because there was one point where after that beach ball was thrown, she was like
Yeah.
pinned down
Yeah.
and like choked.
Choked.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
really freaky to think that something that we can't see or understand would have the power to manipulate our physical world in that way and like our
Yes.
bodies. It's
Yes.
ugh,
Yeah.
creepy as hell.
We've talked about a few where people get scratches or
Yeah,
like weird marks,
yeah.
but that seems different than
And
getting
sometimes you don't
thrown.
even know that's happening. Like you
Yeah.
wake up with it. It's like you're like
Yes.
you don't
Yeah.
feel it happening versus yeah, like being thrown. I don't yeah, it's so
Or choke.
dramatic
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
in comparison.
Yeah.
I mean, I
So
don't want to
much
get
more.
scratched either. That sounds
No.
horrible. That's so
No.
scary, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's wild. That's so
Yeah.
wild.
Wow. This was a good
Well,
one.
this was a good one. All right, y'all.
Scary.
That's the San Pedro Poltergeist. We will be back next week with our final episode of season 4. So be sure to tune in. And until then, stay
Stay
spooky.
spooky. Bye.
Bye.